Hello and welcome to What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo, publisher and CEO of SOT. Today is Monday, June the 6th, and as we said last week, we're coming back at you fairly quickly here because we've got so much stuff we want to talk to you about. The new releases are just flying onto our desks, hot and heavy. Prog, all forms of metal, jazz fusion, classic rock, hard rock, you know we do it all. So we've got lots of stuff to talk to you about. As we mentioned last week, we've got a couple of labels who have been nice enough to send us some of their great new product, and we're going to talk about it. You ready? Let's go! First off, we're going to start with AFM Records. Okay, these guys do all sorts of different kinds of metal, and they've got some really good stuff that's been coming out in recent weeks. First one we're going to talk about, our featured one of the day, is the latest self-titled release from Arizona's thrash veterans. Who are they? That's right, Flotsam and Jetsam. Now, you know, if you're a aging metalhead like myself, you probably listened to Flotsam back in the day, the mid-late 80s. You know, they kind of came out when, you know, Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax, and Exodus, and Slayer, and all those bands were hitting it big, and they kind of also were at the same time. And in fact, their original bass player, Jason Newsted, left the band to go join Metallica after the death of Cliff Burton. So many, many years later, here we are in 2016, and the band has released probably one of their best albums in years. Like I said, self-titled. It's just ripping. There the guys are right there. Classic 80s style thrash with amazing vocals, ripping guitars, frantic rhythms, you know, the shredding solos, riffs up galore. Listen to this bad boy. Listen to that riff, listen to that bass going, listen to those drums. I mean, I haven't enjoyed a Flotsam and Jetsam album like this in years. So, out on AFM Records now. If you haven't heard it yet, do so immediately. There's a ton of groove on here. The tunes are kicking. It's fast, it's frantic, it's melodic. Everything you want from a modern-day thrash album. And they're veterans. They've been doing it for 30 years. So, yep, check it out. We're going to stick on AFM. We got a bunch of AFM releases here. We're going to go over to Germany for the latest from Suidakra called Realms of Odoric. If you've listened to this band, they play a kind of bizarre folk metal, extreme metal, Celtic metal sort of mishmash of stuff, male and female vocals and folk instruments and death metal passages and symphonic passages. And this is a concept album from them. It's really, really good. You got keyboards and acoustic instruments and raging electric guitars and, like I said, screaming, growling male vocals, operatic female vocals. It's just really, really happening. Get a good glimpse of that cover. You know, these guys have put out a bunch of really strong albums. They're always really good, and this one is no different. A lot of it's really catchy, though. As extreme and progressive as it can be, it's still pretty damn catchy, so I like it. Realms of Odoric. Check it out. We are going to stay in Germany for a couple albums, anyway. Iron Savior, Titancraft, power metal to the extreme, folks. I mean, you know, look at this glory. And of course this is a power metal album, right? Look at that artwork. You know? I mean, these guys, you know, no frills here. This is just your hoist up your glass, pump it in the air, sing along, and just have a grand old time with some catchy power metal chugging guitars, anthemic choruses. You know, these guys don't stray much from the formula from album to album, but everyone is good, very solid. You either love the sort of thing or hate it. So I dig it. It's catchy. It's heavy. It's rocking. It's accessible. It's Iron Savior from Germany. Sticking in Germany, Human Fortress, Thieves of the Night, more melodic power metal. Not quite as successful as this. Still very solid. A lot of hooks. Not quite as heavy as the Iron Savior. A little more on the melodic side of the power metal spectrum. Some melodic rock, but, you know, chugging guitars, keyboards, soaring vocals. It's classy stuff. It's not breaking any new ground. But if you've never checked out Human Fortress before, and you like that sort of really melodic, catchy power metal, not too high on the cheese. Okay, it's not quite going into Ed Guy territory. But really, really solid stuff. Not going to wow you over with originality, but I like it. Very, very solid. More German power metal. Let's go over to Sweden for more power metal. This is a live CD DVD from Bloodbound. One Night of Blood. That is, where is that? Live at Masters of Rock. I mean, you know, look at that set list. You know, it's basically a kind of like greatest hits, if you want to call them hits, from throughout Bloodbound's history. All performed live last year at the Masters of Rock Festival. And it's all quite good. You know, these guys have actually been a very solid band for a number of years now. But they've had so many changes in members and lead vocalists. You'll know Urban Breed sang for them for a while, as well as a bunch of other guys who have been in other bands. But they've got a pretty solid lineup right now for the last couple of years. And, you know, it's just really good Swedish power metal. Again, it's more of that kind of fist to the air, bang your head, catchy chorus, lots of anthems. You know, nothing that you're gonna say, oh my God, I've never heard anything like that before. But a lot of fun. And, you know, you got the CD, you got the DVD, you can watch the guys in action. It's well shot. The sound is great. As far as live albums go, you can't really beat this, you know. Quite good. So investigate that. Now we're going to go over to Lance King's Nightmare Records. Lance has been a good friend of SOT for quite some time, not only because of all the great bands and solo things that he's done, but all the great artists and bands he has on his label. So probably, you know, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about some really, really great new progressive metal releases. You know, we talked about the new one from Hake and Circus Maximus. You know, we've a bunch of that have come out recently. But, man, the new one from Tunisia's Myrath called Legacy. Myrath, I never know how to say the name. It's called Legacy. You can't really kind of see that. This is a monster, folks. Now, if you've been, I think if you're a progressive metal fan, you've obviously heard of this band because their last couple albums have been very, very good. They're sort of like, they call them like Oriental metal, progressive metal. They take bits of like Middle Eastern themes as well as musical themes from the Far East and throw it into like this kind of Symphony X meets Dream Theater meets Journey. That's what I hear when I listen to these guys. Absolutely incredible melodic vocals. The guy sounds like, he almost sounds like Arnel Pineda from Journey on steroids. The music, blazing guitar and keyboard work, heavy riffs, but the choruses are so catchy. The keyboards are just amazing. You've got all these kind of ethnic, sweeping symphonic passages. I don't know what more else to say. It's just an incredible, incredible album from a band that's released now a string of really incredible albums. And they're like, these guys are very quietly taking the progressive metal world by storm. I think they did a tour in Europe or somewhere over there with Symphony X recently, and you know they went down to storm. So I highly recommend this. This is probably the #1 release on Nightmare Records this year, and it's that way for a reason. Really, really, really great stuff. If you want progressive metal that's got plenty of virtuosity but still brings the hooks and all the kind of different aspects with all the Middle Eastern and Far East elements and flavors, this is the real deal, folks. Check it out. Now we got something here from the tail end of 2015. It's called Chaos Frame Paths to Exile. This is a U.S. band. They're a progressive metal band, but they add a bunch of like thrash elements as well as little bits of extreme metal, some growling here and there. Fantastic guitar work. I mean, there's some really complex guitar arrangements here. It's heavy. It's lethal in spots. I like the fact that they drop in the little bits of extreme metal now and again. Again, it doesn't detract from the music because the songs are very, very catchy, but every now and then you got these kind of growls popping in, combat and the clean vocals. Herculean guitar work on here. So, again, another one to check out, Pass the Exile from Chaos Frame. Really, really good band. Now we've got something that came out back in, I believe, 2003. This is, I think, the second release from progressive metal act Divided Multitude. It's called Falling to Pieces. Now available once again, thanks to Lance and Nightmare Records. You know, this band, this is early on, so it's not perfect, but still really, really good. Divided Multitude, another one of those kind of like bands you don't hear enough about, but they released a slew of really strong albums. Their self-titled album last year was very, very strong. This is great as well. You know, they've got, if you've never listened to these guys, you can basically pick any of their albums. Over the course of their career, they've been around, I don't know, a decade or so, maybe a little bit more. All really, really strong. Really, really strong. Actually, they've been around more than a decade. I think they came out in like the early 90s, I think. But again, this is their second release, 2003. Available once again. Highly recommend it. It's melodic, heavy in spots, definitely very challenging musical passages at times. So if you like the kind of Dream Theater side of things, you'll love this. Really, really good. So, moving right along, we're going to go to Metal Blade Records. Our buddies over at Metal Blades. We've been working with them for as long as I've been involved with Sea of Tranquility, now 15 years. So we're going to start off with Penalty by Perception. Right? Yep. Deception, sorry. Penalty by Deception. The latest from Denmark's Artillery. Thrash legends, thrash veterans. Another one of those bands that, when you talk about the mainstays of the thrash scene, you always hear, the German bands and the Bay Area bands, right? And, there's nothing wrong with that, because quite frankly, Megadeth and Metallica and Exodus and Creator and Destruction and all those bands, look what they've done over the course of the years. But, very quietly, this band has been there just about as long and putting out just as much killer stuff. This is another one. I mean, rip-roaring guitar work, frantic rhythms, great vocals. They go more for the clean vocal style as opposed to some of the gruff, thrashier styles. But tunes are no less good. Heavy, it's speedy, it's riff-roaring, fan-damn-tastic. Guitar work is off the charts. The songs are catchy. Again, another solid release from them that's going to be a favorite of many in 2016. Going to go to North Carolina for some stoner, doom, sludge, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's the latest from Sourvein called Aquatic Occult. Concept album. Songs are all about the sea and all sorts of cool things about the ocean and whatnot. Sludgy, heavy doom riffs, agonizing, growly vocals. Short tunes, longer tunes. It's a lot of groove, tons of feedback and distortion and fuzz. You know the deal. These guys have been kind of toiling about the underground for a number of years, done a bunch of split releases with other bands, but here now they're on Metal Blade, and I'm sure their fortunes are going to change a little bit. Very solid album. Again, if you like the kind of sludgier, doomier, stoner side of things. All right. Long time. Again, I never heard of these guys before. Long-time thrash band Accuser. Okay, these guys have been around since the 80s. They got a new one called the Forlorn Divide. Forlorn Divide. Again, classic 80s style thrash. They take like kind of the Bay Area scene and the German scene, combine them together, come out with something that's all their own. Check it out. It's quite solid. I gave this 4 out of 5. Really, really good thrash. Again, it reminds me of the 80s scene, but with a modern touch. If you like what you hear here, they've got plenty of releases. Go back and check out their old stuff. But again, Accuser, another really, really good new thrash release from a veteran band from the old days. All right, now, Abnormality. Oh, boy. I'm going to have to bring out my glasses for this one, folks. Hold on a second. Abnormality, the title is called Mechanisms of Omniscience. Sorry, a lot of these death metal bands and black metal bands, they put these covers out where you can't read the band name, you can't read the title of it, but I highly recommend these guys. They're from Massachusetts. This is modern death metal with an old school twist, but they also take the technical and brutal bands of today, throw it all in a blender, and out comes this fantastic death metal album that just, it's slamming. Well, slamming is not the word. It's kick-ass. It's brutal. It's technical. The vocals are to die for. It's just really, really good. This is a band, if you like suffocation, immolation, that sort of thing, the real deal. These guys, they're on, like I said, they're on Metal Blade now. These guys are going to go places. This is really good. If you see them listed as an opening act on a tour for one of your favorite veteran death metal bands, do not miss them. This is killer. You're going to be hearing a lot more of these guys in the months and years to come. Abnormality. Check it out. Now for a Metal Blade reissue, we're going to go back to the late 80s. I'm sure you'll remember this one. Frolic Through the Park, Death Angel. California Thrashers, all right? This is a classic. You've got, Third Floor, Confused, Shores of Sin, Why You Do This, Bored. When these guys first came out, again, it was all about, Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, Testament, On the East Coast, you had Anthrax and Overkill, and you had Creator and Destruction over in Germany and Sodom. Well, these guys came along and just jumped right into the fray. Metal Blade is reissuing some of their early releases. For those of you who either missed it the first time around or they've gone out of print, you can go out and get yourself a brand new CD. So, sounds good, nice and clear. Good to hear this again. I had this on LP back in the day, never got it on CD, so good to have that. Now, we've done all this metal and prog metal. Now we're going to go over to kind of classic rock, prog, hard rock, whatever. This is the latest, it's actually a reissue, sort of a 2 live albums from ex-Wishbone Ash bassist, vocalist, founding member Martin Turner. It's called New Live Dates, the complete set. This takes in 2006 and 2006, I believe. I may get my dates a little wrong. 2005 and 2006, he went on a UK tour with his band, doing, of course, all vintage Wishbone Ash material. And on each tour, he released a tour-only live album. Okay, 2 of them. So one was called New Live Dates 1 and New Live Dates 2. And now here we have, they're available officially for the first time ever as the complete set. It's got both CDs on one. Again, this is from the tours of the UK, 2005 to 2006. A lot of the material you want to hear is on here. Blind Eye, Lorelei, Persephone, Front Page News, Runaway. What else we got here? Living Proof, one of my personal favorites. Blowing Free, Jailbait, FUBB, Silver Shoes, Lifeline, all sorts of stuff. Played magnificently. He's whatever you think of the Wishbone Ash situation. You've got Andy Powell, who's been out doing the official version of the band since the late 80s, early 90s, however long it's been. He and Martin had a falling out. A bunch of the guys in the band had a falling out. But Andy goes out. He's got the official Wishbone Ash name, and he's been putting out very, very strong, original new material all throughout the years. I'm playing all the classics, mixing it up every tour, playing different tunes. You gotta love it. And Martin's been sporadically kind of doing the same thing. He can't use the name Wishbone Ash anymore. You can do ex-Wishbone Ash. But he's going out and he's doing some, his band, he's got some killer guitar players. He's doing the songs justice as well. In fact, him and his band even put out a brand new album of all new material last year, which was amazing. So, I guess if you love Wishbone Ash, the music is still being played, whether it's by Andy Powell and his Wishbone Ash or Martin Turner and his band. The music is still alive, which is great to see. So last but not least on this extended edition of What's Out with Sea of Tranquility, we got Forgotten Favorites. So we're going to go back in time to an album that's near and dear to me that maybe kind of fell under the radar for most people. We're going to go back to 1969. Yes, indeed. The album is called Head Machine, titled Orgasm. Most of you are saying, the hell is that? I never heard of Head Machine before. Okay, well, some of you may remember a band called The Gods. Ken Hensley, Lee Kerslake, future Uriah Heep, future Tofat. Well, as The Gods were kind of splintering and before Tofat kind of became a band and then eventually Uriah Heep, Mr. Hensley and Lee Kerslake kind of started this little brief band for whatever reason. They didn't use their original names. They kind of played around with them a little. I think Ken Lester, I think he called himself on here. I don't know. They used some kind of pseudonyms, but this is basically what was The Gods, what would become Tofat, what would become Uriah Heep. So you've got Hensley on rhythm and lead guitar, as well as on Hammond organ and vocals. You got Mr. Kerslake on drums. You got a bass player, and you got who else is on here? It doesn't even matter because there's some phony names anyway. If you like The Gods, if you like Uriah Heep, and you like Tofat, this is like a mix of all three. So you got that swirling psychedelia that The Gods were kind of known for. You've got that heavy, crunchy blues rock that Tofat were known for, and then you've got that mix of prog and early metal and boogie and that Uriah Heep did. You got some stuff on here that's kind of proggy. You've got some psych on here. You got some crushing, heavy, hard rock, proto-metal blues rock. I dig it. It's really good. Again, this is probably something that most people have never heard before. If you're a Uriah Heep fan and you don't have this, you need to get it. Because it's just, you'll hear elements of what eventually became Uriah Heep on those first couple albums. Very heavy, very humble. Very heavy, very humble. Salisbury, Look at Yourself, Demons and Wizards, all that kind of stuff. But also the first Tofat album, the really heavy blues rock, some of that's on here. Like I said, as well as the prog and psych stuff of the early Gods material. So, Investigate. Very good. Crazy song titles. Climax, You Tried to Take It All. Make the Feeling Last, You Must Come With Me. The Girl Who Loved, The Girl Who Loved. Orgasm, The First Time. Scattering Seeds. Yeah, the album's called Orgasm. Maybe the whole thing's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's pretty kicking. Good stuff. So, with that, we're going to disappear again for probably, you'll see us in about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and we'll have more stuff in the realms of heavy metal, progressive rock, jazz, fusion, hard rock, folk rock, all the stuff that we do. So till then, make sure you investigate all this new music. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. Every day we've got new content updated daily. We are approaching 19,000 reviews on the website, which in our 15th year is pretty damn good. So until next week, be safe, keep on rocking. We'll talk to you next time.